All right, everybody. So this is something that's called a powder room, technically. It's just a half bath. And I am going to walk you through how I'm going to redo this. These are small, and so they're really cute to do like fun patterns and colors with. So I'm going to take this out and hopefully replace it with this little guy and do like a vessel sink on the top. I'm hoping, anyway. This floor we found out is peel and stick. I'm not sure what's underneath it, so we'll find that out. I'm not going to replace the toilet. It's pretty good. It's in good shape. These floor covers right here, these are metal. And so if you can see, first of all, they're pretty corroded. They got some paint on there. Someone told me this is really gross. Do you see all this? Someone said that's from pee splashing over there. So stop peeing on your baseboards. But I went to Lowe's and bought these right here, which are a PVC. So we're going to replace those, and we're gonna do new lighting, a new mirror, put a bulb in there. I don't even think it has a bulb. Nope. Paint the ceiling, paint the walls, do some wallpaper, and just make this super de-duper cute. Stay here. All right, first things first, I'm going to probably start just the removal of this for now, because we're gonna have to do the floor. So I think I'm gonna do some kind of octagon tile in here. I'm not really sure, but I wanna pull this out, and that way we can see what we're working with. I'm gonna pull the floor up and see what that looks like, because we're probably gonna have to take the toilet off or out to put the tile and then put it back. And I also need to take all the trim off the bottom. So we're gonna start by pulling this out.
The first step is turning the water off that goes to your faucet. So make sure that you are turning it off and you're testing your faucet to make sure there is no water coming out before you disconnect it. What I did is I took a wrench and I am carefully disconnecting. It was pretty tight in there, so I'm disconnecting it, and then I'm unscrewing it with my hands as much as I can. And then what I'm going to do is disconnect all the plumbing and pull the sink off of the top of the vanity, so that way I can take that outside and we can pull that vanity out. This was installed with caulking going between the sink and the wall, and so I'm taking a utility knife and I'm cutting that before I go in with a mini pry bar, and I'm going to go side to side. When you go side to side with your pry bar, instead of just pushing directly on it, it allows to pull off without it potentially going through your drywall. And so when I use my mini pry bar for anything, whether it's trim or this situation, I always go side to side with it. After I removed the vanity, I took all of the trim off. So again, we're going to use the mini pry bar and I'm going to work it side to side. Now, sometimes you get really lucky and sometimes you don't. So there is one piece over here that I ended up breaking, but one of them I didn't end up breaking. And so you can reuse the trim that you don't end up breaking. What I ended up doing later on, though, is I ended up using more of a squared trim versus this one that has a beveled edge on it. So I could probably just reuse this for something else. But going side to side like you see me doing helps it, so that way you can slowly pull it off. You're going to go from one end to the other and gradually pull it. These are metal floor cover registers. So I have oil heat in my house, and so these cover the radiators that the heat comes through, but they are super dirty and they're metal. And so what I did is I got these PVC covers for them. But here's the bathroom. We have it pretty much all disassembled. I'm going to take all of the water out of the toilet. So make sure you flush your toilet, you turn all the water off going to your toilet. You're going to flush it to get all of it out of the tank. And then you're going to disassemble, but you want to put something underneath so that you can catch all the water that is in the tank on the top. And then you're going to pull those two apart from each other. The bowl of the toilet is fairly heavy, so make sure you have help with this part. But you're going to disconnect the screws from the floor, and then you're going to rock it back and forth to break that wax seal, and you're going to pick it straight up, and you're going to remove this. So once you do that, you can take a scraper and you can pull the wax seal off of there, and make sure that you're putting a rag down there so that any of the fumes from the sewer do not come up into your bathroom. At first we thought that this was peel and stick flooring, but we realized that it is actually panels of some kind of vinyl type flooring, but either way it wasn't really great, so I started pulling it all out. And so I'm carefully pulling this out to reveal that there is a subfloor underneath. But so if you guys don't know, I've told you before, my house is super old, and there are times that we're not sure if there's a actual subfloor, like a OSB type subfloor, or if it's going to be boards that are subfloor. And so it does have OSB subfloor. But what I'm going to do is do a tile backer board on here so that I can properly do this job. And so the tile backer board is for an area where it is going to get wet, or bathroom or something like that. And so I've put that down once I remove this floor, and then that is a good surface for my tile to go on. Once I was done putting my tile backer board down over my subflooring, I started tiling. So I'm using a ready-made tile mortar. It's a small area, so I figured I'll just do a ready-made instead of having to mix my own. If it was a larger area, it would have been more economical for me to mix my own, but I didn't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down this tile mortar, and what you're going to do is once you lay it down flat, you're going to make the grooves with the other end going in the opposite direction that the grooves are on the back of your tile. So sometimes it's easier when you have flat tile, but this tile right here is a little bit tricky because depending on which way I put it, because it's like a puzzle piece, it hits it going opposite, and sometimes it might not, but it's a smaller area, so it's not as big of a deal. I am going to put spacers so that way I can make sure that there's uniformity throughout this tile, and that way there's not huge spaces when we go in and we put the grout in. What if you have spaces at the edge that you need to cut? You do not need a wet tile saw. This is just a tile cutter that I got from Lowe's. It's super easy to use. The handle right here is going to score your tiles. So you're going to push it down so that it touches your tiles, and you're going to score it. What that is it's cutting the tile, and it makes kind of a noise. So I know you guys like my sound effects. So you're going to score the tiles. Once you put the pressure down on your tile with that little lever, the tile is smaller. I'm going to put a small piece of wood underneath that, and then you're going to just push down on the tile. And you're going to see here in a second that once you put that piece of wood there and you push down right where you scored it, it is going to crack it right where it needs to go. Super easy peasy for smaller jobs. Again, for easier things that just need to be cut like this, this is perfect. This is a perfect tool to have. Obviously, if you're going to be doing more intricate cuts, you want a wet tile saw. So for some of those areas that I needed half of that tile, I went ahead and put mortar on the back of them and pushed them down. And I let all of this tile sit for about 24 hours before I went in and grouted it, because you want it to be nice and set before you put any kind of weight on it, and you're going to have to put weight on it when you go and grout it. Once it has set, I'm going to go in with my grout. This is an off-white color grout, but you can see how it kind of just brings it all together. This tool pushes the grout into all of the spaces, and I like to go in a few different directions with the grout so that way I am hitting it at all angles and I don't miss a spot. And then what I'm going to do is essentially squeegee it off with this tool. Then I'm going to take a damp sponge and wipe off all the excess off of the top. And then here you go. This is what it looks like when I have it all grouted. I'm using a peel and stick wallpaper that I found on Amazon, which I will put in the description below because a lot of people have been asking about it. But it already has the adhesive on the back of it, and it's easily manipulated so you can peel it up and put it back down. And then what I'm doing is I'm using the tool to get all of the air bubbles out and pushing it. And then I'm going to line up each piece, and it's fairly easy. Like I said, it's very easy to use. You're going to use an X-Acto knife to cut all the excess as well that you might have on the ceiling, which generally I do because I go overlap a little bit, but it is super, super easy to work with. I decided I wanted to use Shiplap paneling on the bottom of the walls, and so I'm just cutting these to fit with my circular saw, and I'm going to go in and I am going to tack them down with my brad nails, and then what I'll do is fill in all the holes, and then I'm going to paint over this again with just another white paint.
Okay, we're gonna time out for a second. So this is the light that I have, and we are going to put the light in here. So there's gonna be some little finishing touches that I will go over with you guys here in a little bit. I still have to do the panel on this wall, but my house was built in 1760, so nothing is square. And so what my husband and I have learned over the last, April. So February, March, April, the last 3 months of doing stuff to our house is that we have to kind of work with the house. You have to take that mentality of using a level and a square and all that stuff. Obviously you still want to use it, but when you have an old house like this, sometimes you have to do it relevant to the walls. And so some of this stuff is a little bit off. Like I'll show you, this wall is it kind of curves like this, so we have to cut that, and I just want to take a break from cutting that stuff. So I'm going to put this in here, but the first thing that you need to do if you're messing with any kind of electrical stuff is you need to make sure that the power is off to the source that you are going to be using. So you want to go to your electrical box and you want to make sure that you are turning it off. One way to know, there's 2 fail safes right here that I would use, okay? And I'm not an electrician, so please don't come after me. One is I'm going to keep this light turned on. When I go to my breaker box, I'm going to turn it off, and then I know that that light, the source of that, has been turned off. 2, I have a lead tester, and I'll show you how to use that, and that's my second fail-safe of knowing that that light is, there's no power going to it. I'm going to show you guys. So you're going to unscrew this right here, and I have a lead tester. So this is going to be green if there's no power going to what we're working on. If it turns red, that means there's power to it and you need to figure out how to turn it off. So we're going to take this off first and we're going to test if there's electricity going here. Okay, so if it turns red, that means that there is power going to it. Don't want that. So you need to cut the power and check it again. And once it's green, then you know you're good to go and you can disassemble this from here. Okay, so once you have safely taken this, there will be a ground wire coming from the wires in the wall. You want to make sure you wrap that around this ground. And then these wires, this is going to have a ground that you're going to wrap it around. And you're gonna have 2 black wires, 2 white wires, your wiring nut, wherever they are. And we're gonna put these 2 together. So we're gonna get these 2 black ones together. But this is going to keep them safe. So you're gonna take this and you're just going to tighten it and tighten it and tighten it until it doesn't tighten anymore, okay? And then you're going to take, so the black wires are together. Now you're going to take the white wires, same concept. You can move the wires, okay? So have these wires together. Move the black ones up. Oh, those came up. Okay, so I'm gonna take the white wires, put it together. Super tight. We're gonna take our ground and we're going to wrap the ground around. Other one. Shove it in there. Okay, I'm gonna take my screwdriver and just tighten it. Okay, now I'm gonna test and see. I am gonna turn this back off before I shove it because I wanna put these back in here and I wanna be able to touch these wires and put them in here and not get electrocuted. So we're gonna push them in here. Okay, I'm going to line up these. Okay, turn it on.
Once I was done putting down all of the trim, I went through with a white caulk and I caulked everything that had spaces. This helps so that way it finishes everything, and that way if water gets on any of these spaces, it won't leak behind the trim. And so that is what I'm doing right here. And that way, like I said, I'm doing it on the top and the bottom to really just finish everything off. This is a piece that I brought back from Germany with me, and I have a video that I will post above that shows me and how I painted this entire thing. But what I'm doing is fitting this for a vessel sink. So I am going to take a spade bit and I'm going to make holes for where the sink needs to have holes, so that way I can snake the plumbing through, and I'm going to use plumber's putty for this part. And again, it is all done. I didn't go into super depth because I'm not a plumber and I don't want to give you guys bad advice, and this is my own home. But this is the before and then this is the after. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and happy creating, everybody.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of